motherfucker, you talking about right back with it, and we are about to get back into Michael. Um, I didn't know. Well, I kind of knew, but I didn't know the controversies of like that. That posthumous album, that first posthumous album he put out. I didn't really understand the situation as far as the fake vocals, so we finna check it out. Because they dropping all this new information about Michael, and I want to see how true everything is. So I also know a few of his homies was part of this project. One just him and his vocals. One just a few people here and there with some people who came in like Teddy Riley and all that to help work on the album. They also put 50 Cent on the album. But we're gonna get back into it.
Controversy is already swirling around the new Michael Jackson CD. Is the pop icon singing on every track? His mom and his children say there's a sound-alike on some of those tracks, but MJ's record label says it's all the real deal.
In 2010, the world was waiting for the first posthumous album from the King of Pop. But the moment the first single came out, the celebration turned into a scandal. The release set off immediate suspicion among fans that some of the vocals weren't Michael at all. How could several songs with fake vocals end up on an official Michael Jackson album?
According to TMZ, Jackson's family says the tracks are fakes, sung by a Michael impersonator.
Less than a year after Michael's passing, his estate and Sony Music Entertainment signed the biggest recording deal in history.
Sony Music has struck a $250 million deal with the estate of the King of Pop. The partners say it's the biggest in recording history.
The first priority, a new album of unreleased songs Michael was working on during the final years of his life. The estate's co-executor, John McClain, turned to artists like will.i.am, Ne-Yo, and Red One, who were rumored to have worked with Michael in his last few years, but all of them confirmed he hadn't recorded finished vocals for anything new.
So I still got the records. They just sitting, waiting on me to figure out what the hell I'm gonna do with them. It's never felt right.
Did he do any of his vocals?
No. It's all me on the vocals, but it's records that I wrote with Mike.
Will described the late star as a perfectionist and a friend of his, and believes he would not have wanted the tracks to see the light of day if he was not part of the process.
The solution arrived on May 2nd, when entertainment reporter Roger Friedman published an exclusive news. The shocking claim that Michael Jackson had recorded an entire album of never-before-heard, 12 finished songs with perfect vocals in the home studio of Eddie Cascio in 2007. The estate and Sony immediately gravitated toward these songs, which appeared to be the answer to their problems. Eddie Cascio wasn't just a random collaborator. He came from a family Michael had trusted for decades. Their bond began in the mid-1980s at the Helmsley Palace Hotel in New York, where the father, Dominic Cascio, befriended Michael during his frequent stays.
Well, when I first met Michael Jackson, I was working at the Helmsley Palace Hotel. I used to manage all the suites in the apartments, and that's where he normally stayed.
For the next 25 years, the Cassios' quiet home in New Jersey became Michael's sanctuary, a place where he could escape the paparazzi and feel like part of a regular family.
Grew up with him literally since he was 3 and I was 5, and so being around him was just normal.
He really just was so humble, and then never really played off on the fact that he was, this Michael Jackson. He was just Michael.
Because the family had been his loyal protectors for decades, the claim that Eddie Cascio had captured lightning in a bottle during Michael's stay with them in 2007 seemed, at least on the surface, entirely plausible. Michael's former manager, Frank DeLeo, was the one who brought the tracks to the attention of Sony and the estate, which gave them that much more credibility. The copyright for the collection of those songs was filed on June 27, 2009, just 2 days after Michael's passing. The versions attached to that filing featured James Port on all the lead vocals, as they were essentially his demo recordings.
Bro, I really want to say this because like I just said in the last video, when it comes to Michael Jackson, people be money grubbers. People be money grabbing. He wasn't even cold 2 days before these niggas did what they did. And another thing is, these are people that he considered to be his friends. The other niggas considered to be his manager. You see what I'm saying? We be sitting here taking these niggas' sides, and we be sitting here standing up for niggas. Like the manager, I know people that stood up for that manager because he done been with Michael since the 80s. And it'd be the same thing with John Bronco, the lawyer. I don't trust them niggas because they weird as fuck. They got some weird ass tendencies and ways about them, especially when it comes to doing business over Michael's behalf. I don't fuck with them. I really believe that they was a part of his downfall.
Some of which dated back to the early 2000s. He had experience as a producer and songwriter in major New York recording studios. It was the first time Michael Jackson was credited on these songs, despite several of the same titles having been copyrighted years earlier with no mention of him at all. Eddie and James hired top music industry attorney Donald Passman to secure a lucrative agreement, and the 12 tracks were soon handed over to Sony and the estate. Michael's longtime producer Teddy Riley was brought in to work on the album.
Came into the studio, they handed me a bunch of songs, and I said, all right, I want to work on that one first, and I chose that song. They gave me the files. What I'm doing is taking vocals that everyone loved and everyone pretty much never heard, and there's music that came with it. I would snatch the music out and leave, kind of keep some of the elements, and with those elements I would create around that.
He started with Akon's Hold My Hand, but was soon told to shift his focus to the Casio tracks, Monster and Breaking News. Michael's nephew, Terrell Jackson, who was there in the studio, said he immediately felt something was off, especially on Breaking News, where, beyond the unusual vocals, the lyrics had Michael referring to himself in the third person.
Everybody watching the news, I'm Michael Jackson. They wanna see that I fall, cause I'm Michael
Man, you
Jackson.
know this nigga trying to sound like Michael, bro. You could tell this shit from a mile away, especially if you've been listening to this nigga. Another thing is his raw vocals. When it comes to Michael, he stomp, he snap, he do shit that I can hear. He do a lot of shit that I can hear in the background that has made him a part of every record he's ever been on since he left Motown. All the snapping, the clapping, all that shit is shit that he do. All that hard breathing, all that stomping, and all that shit, he do that shit all mid raw recording. Why do I not hear none of that shit, bro? It's too much goofy ass shit going on. How did Teddy Riley not know this? And he done worked with this man for all these fucking years. Get the fuck out of here, bro.
Once Teddy Riley is assigned these songs, the goal isn't investigate. The goal is to deliver. And the more time he spends inside the sessions, the more the red flags multiply. It wasn't just that the voice felt off. It was what wasn't there. People who recorded Michael for years knew his raw vocals weren't clean. You'd hear him snap on the beat. You'd hear foot stomps, signature breath patterns, headphone bleed, little artifacts that were basically part of his rhythm section.
Look who just walked in the place.
But on these songs, those fingerprints were missing.
So when we played the records, we listened to them, and I remember me saying to Teddy, there's a problem. It didn't sound right. Like, you could just tell things were put in, that it just didn't make sense. Like, there were no outtakes. We just knew something was wrong. And Teddy knew.
After hearing another Casio track called Keep Your Head Up, everyone in the studio was convinced the vocals weren't Michael. Several members of the Jackson family, including Randy, Jermaine, and TJ, were invited to the studio, and they all felt the same way. I remember when Teddy and I were at Encore listening to Keep Your Head Up. We both knew it wasn't my uncle. Teddy stopped working on it because, and I quote, "It didn't sound enough like Michael." He also said he was only working on the Casio records in hopes that he would eventually be given a real Michael Jackson song. To contain the fire, the estate arranged a listening session, bringing in engineers and producers who'd worked with Michael to judge the vocals firsthand. Some thought it might be him but wouldn't guarantee it. Others said it wasn't. And there was no clear, unanimous, yes, definitely Michael conclusion. Terrell Jackson identified a possible match for the vocals, which was Jason Malachi, whose track Mamacita ended up on TMZ back in 2007 and was mistaken by many as a new leaked Michael Jackson song.
That's exactly who the fuck it sound like, bro, because he sounds like The Weeknd when he's singing. Michael don't sound like the fucking Weeknd. The Weeknd tries to sound like Michael. That's why The Weeknd say, I got my phone set up for Michael. because he was mimicking Michael when he was singing. But Michael don't sound like that, nigga. He sound like a off-brand version of Michael, nigga. You could tell because his voice is flat as fuck in comparison to Michael. When it come to Michael Jackson, Michael pushes through that shit. Like, I mean, when it come to Michael hitting a note, singing wise, nigga, as you heard with the Too Bad raw vocal, bro, he is going to push the sound volume through that microphone. He ain't trying to sound like shit. He's going to sound like the GOAT. Fuck is you talking about?
You can look at them coming out the walls. You can look at them climbing out the bushes.
Engineer Michael Prince identified a phrase on one of the Casio tracks that was clearly copied and pasted from Michael's 1995 Earth song. You hear a real breath here, a real ad-lib there. So the lead vocal starts to feel authentic even when it isn't. After the listening session, Eddie Casio and James Port are brought in to defend the songs directly. And this is where the entire story should have been settled with one simple thing: proof. If Michael recorded these in 2007, there should be raw and alternate vocal takes, session backups, Pro Tools sessions, because that's how real recording works, especially with Michael Jackson. Instead, what they offer is the least believable explanation possible. They claim Michael loved the vocal comp so much that he asked them to destroy the outtakes.
Nobody would ever do that. Nobody would ever do that, you know. It's Michael Jackson. He might change his mind. You don't ever erase anything, ever, you know. The fact that they had one hard drive that had these songs on there and no other hard drive worked anymore, and they'd all been destroyed, and all the other takes had been erased, and even the computer they used at the time stopped working. Mind you, they always had their lawyer sitting there with them. You know, they promised hard drives, but nothing showed up, and, you know, they threw things away, and just a bunch of lies.
The Michael Jackson-sounding vocals for those tracks were recorded by Jason Malachi sometime in late 2009 and early 2010, carefully produced by Eddie Casio and James Port to mimic Michael's voice, and reinforced with authentic, sampled ad-libs and breaths before they were presented to Sony and the estate in May. Despite all the doubts, the estate didn't stop the project. Teddy Riley continued to work on the album.
They really were excited about me working on the next song. They started giving me some more songs to do.
When the first single, Breaking News, was premiered, the public reaction was immediate and overwhelming. Fans flooded online spaces insisting the voice wasn't Michael. In response, the estate's attorney Howard Weitzman issued a statement presenting the situation as if the vocals had been conclusively verified, which was untrue. Sony and the estate went into full damage control mode. The Casios, along with Teddy Riley, were put forward in high-profile TV appearances, most notably on The Oprah Winfrey Show, to defend the vocals and explain away the odd sound as processing or demo issues, trying to reassure fans before release.
Eddie, there have been some questions, you know, about, first of all, that this people saying that this isn't Michael's voice. Yes. You know that. What can you tell us about that?
I can tell you that it is Michael's voice. He recorded right there in my basement.
In that little room with the mat on the floor?
Yep.
This is Michael's voice. And so many people, including some of the family, they doubt that is him.
Why do you say for sure it is him?
Because you can hear the authenticity in his voice, and you can hear like the natural part of him, and no one could really do a scream like that strong scream on the music that you hear, like Michael.
He be waiting with his camera on focus.
It was a dream come true to be able to record him.
Teddy Riley is a lying ass son of a bitch, and I never knew his bitch ass did that. This is the most goofiest shit I've ever seen Teddy Riley do. That's my nigga, and I can't believe he did that. He's a legend, and he know good and damn motherfucking well that Michael included him as a fucking friend. And Michael, this is why I say everybody be lying and pump faking about having love for Michael, and this is why I say Michael has the realest fucking fan base alive. because he is one of the few artists who fan base actually take up and fight for him. I mean, we niggas be fighting for him, bro. Point blank, niggas fight for him. They fight for him financially, they fight for him musically, and they fight for his artistry. That's one of the main things about Michael fan base. He fight for his fans fight for him. When he was at that court trial and was trying to touch his fans, he went the fuck off. One thing about Michael fans is Michael fans do not play about Michael. We don't fuck around when they come to Michael. And this is why I say John Branca is untrustable, because how can I really trust you when you allow such a thing to go down? And I can't fuck with Teddy Riley the same way no more, or look at him the same way no more, because he knows damn well he's fucking lying. Where do you hear that scream at? Where do you hear this nigga getting octavely loud at? I don't even hear this nigga really doing much of what Michael do other than them fake ass pump faking breaths, which he's not even really doing. And at the same time, it's that low ass tone he's trying to carry that's really giving it away.
It was pretty good studio, you know. You make a studio the best you can make it. You're just trying to get the sound out of it. And they did it.
When they first had it, they did the processing and they did melodyning because there were a lot of flat notes. Because Michael was going in to do the ideas. You know, he would never consider it being a final vocal.
In the end, Sony and the estate released the Michael album with 3 Casio tracks included. Eddie Casio and James Port successfully passed off fraudulent recordings as authentic and secured millions of dollars in the process. Teddy Riley was ultimately paid $250,000 for his work on the album.
You old Bean Supreme nacho head having ass nigga, you telling me you did all of this pump faking and capping for $200 and some thousand, nigga? When yo fucking man, you niggas kill me. This nigga has officially murdered his legacy in my eyes, because you really telling me you fucking blanked out for $200,000, my nigga? Your friendship with Michael was only worth $200,000, nigga. Your time with this man was only worth $200,000, you bitch ass nigga. You telling me you turned your back on this man and let these people take advantage of his legacy for $200,000 while these cocksuckers made millions? And you get
in, August 2022. Do you think that those were actually Michael's vocals or not?
If I tell you today,
right now,
I can tell you right now that no. And that's how I lost my friend, Terrell. He didn't speak to me for a while. And I heard it. It was like, dang. And I had to move forward because I was like, Terrell, I already got paid. What do you expect me to do?
In 2014, a fan, Vera Sarova, filed a lawsuit against Sony and the estate over the vocals. In her lawsuit, Sarova alleged that Casio and Port forged a collection of fake songs, and that Sony and the estate misled her and others by attributing those forgeries to Michael Jackson on the Michael album. After a long legal battle, the case was settled in 2022. As part of that settlement, Breaking News, Monster, and Keep Your Head Up were pulled from streaming services, and later versions of the album were reissued without them. This video was based on an investigation.
I'm gonna keep saying this again. Michael got the realest fucking fans because they fought for him. Fuck is you talking about? That girl pointed out every song that was not his vocals. This is how you know people who really been listening to this man their entire life, or been listening to this man every day, or listen to this man faithfully like how all Michael fans do. We know his fucking voice, bro, because he got a package. He got a package that he does on every song. Don't matter what song it is, don't matter the beat, it's how he catches the rhythm and the vibe of the song. These motherfuckers did everything they could to get a dollar out of him, and it seems like they still doing that to this day. Because to me, that movie was rushed. The whole situation surrounding it was rushed. And I really wish more people would take advantage of the fact that, yeah, we might be getting new music, but you got to realize at the same time, we don't know where this music is coming from a lot of times. And another thing is, we need to realize also that Michael might not have wanted us to hear this shit. And it's a reason why he didn't drop this shit while he was here. It's the reason why Michael didn't rework these songs. It's the same thing with Tupac. Same thing with so many other artists. We don't know what they would have really wanted had they been here. Stevie Wonder wants to burn up all his demos so this shit don't happen to him. Now I understand it. First I was like, Stevie, don't do that. But now seeing this shit, I would probably advise him to do that. Because this really makes no fucking sense. All of this bidding, all of this fighting, all this back and forth, all of this weird ass shit that they trying to do. The nigga's supposed to be Michael's lawyer. He ain't really being his lawyer. He not really running his estate properly to me. And as far as everybody else, I really feel like his kids should be the motherfuckers who run his estate and own his estate. If anything, not no fucking white lawyer that like we don't. Come on now. Just because he was with this nigga before the kid. Man, fuck out of here, bro. He fired the nigga for stealing funds and he thought he was stealing funds for Sony. That's another thing they don't mention about that bitch ass nigga. But as far as Teddy Riley, he needs to be slapped upside that noggin of his, that little elbow ass head of his. Because, bitch, how you know good and goddamn well that nigga don't sound shit like Michael. He don't do shit Michael's doing. Michael is an extraordinary vocalist, and that's one thing you can't hide. And that's one thing you can't deny him. And that's why I hate when people do that. They don't try to put him on that caliber as a singer. But if you know his songs and you know his voice is significant enough for people to catch and be able to say, that's not fucking him. But y'all let me know what y'all think. I keep saying these bitch ass niggas always try to take advantage of Michael, but they swear up and down to his friends. Same thing with Tupac. They swear everybody them went to Vegas and swore up and down they supposed to go see Tupac in Vegas. But where was these niggas at in Vegas when they like what happened? Bitch ass nigga, why all of this shit coming out 30-40 years later instead of you saying that shit when it happened? Goofy ass shit, bro. Y'all let me know what y'all think, bro. Like, subscribe, comment, please. I'm out.
Hey, these niggas down on attack. Gotta know your purpose, understand what work is. These snakes is lurking, observing, trying to close your curtains. These